What's good, everyone? It's Steve from Sneaker Tech Talk, back with another video today. For today, we will be doing a revisited performance review on the Game 1 Low from Serious Player Only with this, I believe it's called Flower C colorway. So without further ado, let's take a look at one of the lightest, if not the lightest basketball shoes on the market today. All right, so if you didn't know, I am one of the early adopters on YouTube or just in social media in general that have been wearing Serious Player Only shoes for well over 2 years, maybe even 3 now. And they've been doing some really cool things within their models. And the Game 1 Low is one of their newest variations as far as offering a basketball shoe with just a ton of amazing features and upgrades. And it's no different with this setup right here. So starting with the traction pattern, at the bottom, you kind of have this tire tread inspired pattern. It's very thin, but it's very durable, and the tackiness level on this outsole is like insane. I would keep these indoors because it's a little bit thin, but as far as how tacky these are with basically no sound, this traction pattern, bar none, is a 10 out of 10. I've never slid out in really any of their shoes, and one of the things that the brand is known for the most is having some of, if not the best, reliable traction setups across the board on all of their shoes. And it's no different here on the Game 1 Low. It is kind of like a milky semi-translucent outsole, and you do have no wear and tear here, but it does collect a little bit of dust here, more so in the forefoot. But honestly, this outsole bites through any and everything. As long as you're keeping these indoors, you will be good to go. But as far as I'm concerned, like I said, I've played around 10 hours in these. In the Blue Scorpion pair, I've played around 30 hours. And they're just holding up great, and the traction is superb, and that's why they're going to score an absolute 10 out of 10. Like, this is Hall of Fame worthy traction, as long as you're keeping them indoors. And keep in mind, it does wrap up here on the medial side, so if you are doing toe drags, you will be good to go in this model as far as the traction goes. As far as the cushioning goes within the shoe, you kind of have a dual layered setup. Now, you do have this kind of like Phylon midsole right here that does actually have some nice compression while you have them on foot. But the craziest update within this shoe is the Quick 2.0 drop-in midsole. Now, I do believe this is a super critical foam setup, but just the lightweight nature, the bounce at the back, like the compression is honestly one of, if not the best setups I've ever felt on foot. The forefoot is very close to the floor, but you still get some decent compression at the front of the shoe. You do have a liner on top with these little grippies to keep your foot from moving around at all. But the one thing I love about the brand, probably the most compared to any other brand on the market, is I think they have 5 or 6 different drop-in midsole setups. So you get different cushioning setups. You can swap any of them out in any of their shoes across the board, but this just so happens to be their best setup. And one of the upgrades they also added is this really nice arch support. It is a lot more firm here compared to everything else being like insanely soft and bouncy, so keep that in mind. But for me, the heel to toe transition is amazing. The bounce, the court feel is perfect. This is basically one of, if not the perfect drop-in midsole setups from any brand out right now, and that's why the cushioning is going to score a superb 10 out of 10. In my Blue Scorpion pair, I've played over 30 hours and they still feel the same from the first day to the most recent setup. And I think that's a great thing because a lot of brands drop-in midsole cushioning setups do break down over time, but these haven't so far, and I'm very excited to keep hooping in them. So keep that in mind. The Quick 2.0 drop-in midsole setup for the cushioning is just amazing underfoot. As far as the materials go, that's probably the shoe's biggest, I wouldn't say downfall, but keep in mind, this shoe was built to be one of, if not the lightest shoes on the market. So what you're getting is kind of a synthetic nubuck at the back here in the pink, and then you have some more synthetic nubuck right here in this white material, and then everything else is like a paper thin kind of TPU stranded mesh material with almost like fish wire running through it. You do have some fuse rands at the toe box, but honestly, everything up front is made to be paper thin, but still very strong and breathable. Right here, you do have these stabilizer straps right here. We'll talk more about that in the support system, but all things considered, like even the tongue is paper thin. There's enough padding to the point where you're not going to get any lace pressure, but as far as the materials go, it's a very cheap setup, a very breathable setup, And as far as I'm concerned with my blue pair, they've been very durable as well. So as long as you're playing with these indoors, I think you'll be good to go as far as the materials go. Just don't expect really any premium hits. You get a little bit of that at the back, but everything up front is much more of a thin and cheaper kind of like screen mesh material. So as far as the materials go, I'm going to give these a 7.5 out of 10. And then as far as the fit goes within this hoop shoe, again, I go with a US size 11 across the board in all of my serious player only shoes. I do find that they do fit a little bit more snug compared to like Nike. So I go up to a size 11, and keep that in mind when you're doing that. Go with your size across the board when you order any shoes from them, because the drop-in midsoles to kind of swap them in and out of all the shoes do have to be the same size as well. You do have a pretty nicely padded back heel counter right here. Everything up front in front of the tongue, you get a bit of padding at the top of the tongue, but everything else is paper thin. A very snug and secure fit. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of is the toe box does kind of wrap up a little bit here on the last. That doesn't cause any toe pain, but I think it just looks a little bit weird here. But as far as the fit goes, if you go true to size, I think they're going to be a little bit snug. That's why I had to go up half a size. They are pretty wide foot friendly, but just keep in mind, this plastic TPU shank plate does take a little bit of time to break in, because there is a little bit of side pressure when I first put these on for the first hour or two. But after that, they're a very snug and secure fitting basketball shoe. Probably one of the most minimalist basketball shoes on the market today. And that's why the fit is going to score a very nice 9 out of 10. And then as far as the weight goes, again, this is an extremely light basketball shoe. I'm going to say it right now, the lightest shoe that I currently hoop in. And in a US size 11, they come in at 11.5 ounces on the right and 11.10 ounces on the left. So all things considered, for me in a US size 11, like this is feather light on foot. I don't even feel like I have a hoop shoe on, and that's a good thing because you get all of the great features as far as the traction, cushion, and support in probably the most lightweight package out today. And then as far as the support goes on this shoe, now keep in mind, this is one of the lightest, most minimalist basketball shoes on the market today. But at the back of the shoe, you do get this TPU internal heel counter, which does a fantastic job of locking your foot in. On the side of the shoe right here, you have this midsole and this plastic, really thin TPU shank plate, or midfoot plate, sorry, right here. On those hard lateral cuts, it does keep your foot housed within the shoe. And then right here, these pink eyelets are these stabilizer straps that run down into the Strobel board. So when you really crank those laces down, it really wraps around your foot very nicely. You have a pretty wide and stable base, a TPU shank plate right here, great torsional rigidity and support, while still having nice forefoot flex. And like we've already talked about on the drop-in midsole, you also have this arch support system directly under your foot. So all things considered, for me, this is a very supportive basketball shoe and probably the most lightweight package that I've ever played in. So a great support system here on the Game 1 Low from Serious Player Only. And for me, these score like a 9.5 out of 10. Not quite perfect, but they're basically there. So the support is great. I think if you're a player 1 through 5, if you want a shoe that's ultra lightweight, supportive, great cushioning and traction, look no further, because this is a superb option from the brand. And then really quickly, as far as the price point for these, I believe they're $180 USD, so a bit more on the pricier side. But considering the Jordan 40s are $200, the LeBron 23s are going to be $210. This is a great option, and I believe the brand does have some sales from time to time for like 20 and 30% off. So keep that in mind if you're looking for these. I believe in fall, probably around Black Friday, they'll have another sale. But all things considered, as far as the performance features of this shoe, the biggest standout features are definitely the traction, the support, the cushioning, and just the ultra lightweight, breathable nature of the shoe. Probably one of the best shoes on the market right now. Definitely in my top 5 performers for 2025. But that's going to do it for today's performance review on the Serious Player Only Game 1 Low in this Flower Sea colorway. I already have the blue Scorpion pair, and now this pair here. Again, one of my top 5, probably even one of my top 3 performers this year. Sound off in the comments if you guys have tried them out yet. If you want a lightweight shoe that's breathable with superb cushion, look no further, because this shoe has got it all covered. And I just enjoy throwing these on, and it's just wild going from like the 40s to these. Like, this is almost half the weight of the Air Jordan 40s, which is wild. And you basically get all of the same benefits on court. So sound off in the comments if you guys have tried any serious player only shoes out. But as always, if you guys could like, comment, and subscribe, that would definitely help the channel a ton. And check out my Instagram over at Sneaker Tech Talk, as it is an extension of my YouTube channel with all my pickups, basketball footage, and nostalgia as a whole. As always, thanks for watching today's video, and until next time,